Good evening, everyone, and welcome to the organizational meeting of the New Bergen Large City School District. My name is Matthew McCoy, and I'm the leftover district clerk. I will now lead the board in the pledge. Please rise. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Please remain standing for a moment of silence. Thank you. Roll call. Ms. Christine Bello.
Here.
Ms. Thomasina Bello.
Here.
Ms. Boucher. Mr. Bergarelli.
Here.
Ms. Burks.
Here.
Mr. Duray.
Present.
Mr. Howard.
Here.
Mr. Levenstein.
Here.
Ms. Politti. We'll now move over to the oath of office for the new board members. Mr. Levenstein, if you arise and please raise your right hand and repeat after me. I do solemnly swear that I will support the Constitution
I do solemnly swear that I will support the Constitution
of the United States
of the United States
and the Constitution of the State of New York,
and the Constitution of the State of New York,
and I will faithfully discharge the duties
and I will faithfully discharge the duties
of the office of trustee
of the office of trustee
of the Board of Education
of the Board of Education
according to the best of my ability.
according to the best of my ability.
Congratulations, sir. Ms. Burks, if you will please rise and raise your right hand and repeat after me. I do solemnly swear that I will support the Constitution
I do solemnly swear that I will support the Constitution
of the United States
of the United States
and the Constitution of the State of New York,
and the Constitution of the State of New York,
and I will faithfully discharge the duties
and I will faithfully discharge the duties
of the office of trustee
of the office of trustee
of the Board of Education
of the Board of Education
according to the best of my ability.
according to the best of my ability.
Congratulations, sir. Thank you. Mr. Duray, if you will stand and raise your right hand, please repeat after me. I do solemnly swear that I will support the Constitution
I do solemnly swear that I will support the Constitution
of the United States
of the United States
and the Constitution of the State of New York,
and the Constitution of the State of New York,
and I will faithfully discharge the duties
and I will faithfully discharge the duties
of the office of trustee
of the office of trustee
of the Board of Education
of the Board of Education
according to the best of my ability.
according to the best of my ability.
Congratulations, sir. Now that the administrative oath has been administered to the new board members, we're at 2.2 of the election of the president and the vice president. So at this point, at 2.3, the clerk will entertain nominations for president of the board for the 25-26 school year. Mr. Bergarelli.
Thank you, Mr. Coy. I'd like to nominate for president Mr. Duray.
There's a president, Mr. Duray.
Second.
And a second. Is there any other nominations for president of the board? Okay, I will call the roll. President of the Board, Ms. Thomasina Bello.
No.
Ms. Boucher. Excuse me. Mr. Bergarelli.
Yes.
Ms. Burks.
Yes.
Mr. Doré.
Yes.
Mr. Howard.
Yes.
Mr. Levenstein.
Yes.
Ms. Politi.
Yes.
Ms. Christine Bello.
No.
Mr. Doré has been elected as president of the board. Mr. Doré, if it's okay with you, Mr. Doré, if it's okay with you, do you want me to continue the nomination? I'll turn the floor over after. Okay. I will entertain motion for nominations for the vice president of the board for 25-26. Is there any nominations for vice president? Mr.
McCoy?
Bergarelli?
I'd like to nominate Mr. Mark Levenstein for vice president.
There's a nomination for Mr. Levenstein. Any seconds?
Second.
Is there any other nominations for vice president? I'll call the roll for vice president for 25-26. Mr. Bergarelli?
Yes.
Ms. Burks?
Yes.
Mr. Doré?
Yes.
Mr. Howard?
Yes.
Mr. Levenstein?
Yes.
Ms. Politi?
Yes.
Ms. Christine Bello?
No.
Ms. Thomasina Bello?
No.
Vice President of the Board for 25-26 is Mr. Mark Levenstein. Mr. Doré, will you rise and please raise your right hand and repeat after me?
Sure.
I do solemnly swear that I will support the Constitution
I do solemnly swear that I will support the Constitution
of the United States
of the United States
and the Constitution of the State of New York,
and the Constitution of the State of New York,
and I will faithfully discharge the duties
and I will faithfully discharge the duties
of the office of President of the Board of Education,
of the office of the Board of Education,
of the office of President of the Board of Education,
President of the Board of Education,
according to the best of my ability.
according to the best of my ability.
Congratulations, sir.
Thank you.
Mr. Levenstein, will you stand and raise your right hand and repeat after me? I do solemnly swear that I will support the Constitution
I do solemnly swear that I will support the Constitution
of the United States
of the United States
and the Constitution of the State of New York,
and the Constitution of the State of New York,
and I will faithfully discharge the duties
and I will faithfully discharge the duties
of the office of Vice President
of the office of Vice President
of the Board of Education
of the Board of Education
according to the best of my ability.
according to the best of my ability.
Congratulations, sir. I'm turning the gavel over to you, President Doré. We are now at 2.8, Board Officer Appointments.
Thank you. Before we get to that, we often hear it takes a village, and takes a village to get elected, too. This particular time, we had a team of 3 people, myself, Sade Burke, and Mark Levenstein, and many, I think every single person out there helped us tremendously. And thank you doesn't quite suffice, but I hope we do live up to your expectations. We have an awful lot of work ahead of us. It's been a difficult year. I'll leave it at that. But we have plans to make things right, to go back to the last word of what we do at the Board of Education. We're going to get back to focusing on our students, focusing on our faculty, focusing on our administration. If I was using the analogy, and I like analogies of a ship, where we were sailing along and we've been kind of under attack for a year, from the captain of the bridge down to the departments, down to rooms in the hold. And we have a lot of damage repair to do, but we're going to do it. It's hard work, but I will tell you this. When I look out, and I did hear you tonight, and it's very appreciated, we're going to work very, very hard. My personal commitment, I've mentioned a few times, after 50 years, Thursday is my last day of work, and I lined it up with the hopes of winning the election and making this my full-time job. So my goal for the entire board is to be visible in the community, to make a difference, to listen to people, to bring back, to be able to discuss. We use the term transparency. We can be as transparent as possible, and I need you to understand sometimes when we deal with personnel issues, we afford people the same privacy you would like, the same sort of confidentiality. So some items need to be dealt with in a very professional, executive sort of way. But I'll close with this before I open the rest of the meeting. Thank you very much. It's very, very appreciated. (2.1, 2.8 to 2.14). All right, we have items 2.8 to 2.14 for consideration. Can I get a motion?
Can I separate one out?
Sure.
2.9, is it possible to separate 2.9? I'll get to it after we vote, I guess.
(2.9).
There's a portion of 2.9, not the whole thing, that I'd like to separate out, but if you want to do the vote for the other items first and then come back to that.
Okay, let's do 2.8 to 2.14 minus 2.9. Get a motion?
So moved.
Second.
Discussion on these items? Call the vote.
Roll call, 2.8 through 2.14 minus 2.9. Mr. Bergarelli?
Yes.
Ms. Burks?
Yes.
Mr. Duray?
Yes.
Mr. Howard? Mr. Levenstein?
Yes.
Ms. Politi?
Yes.
Ms. Christine Bello?
Yes.
Ms. Thomasina Bello?
Yes.
Okay, 2.9. Motion,
So moved.
second.
Second.
Discussion.
I'd like to separate out item 30, but only one of the candidates, if that's possible.
Can we make a motion to amend?
Motion to amend item 2.930 to only have Diane Troller and Carol Maida.
Second.
Call the roll on the amendment, right? Yeah.
Was a second.
It was a second. Yeah, right. Any discussion on this amendment?
To amend to move Number 30, Victoria San Juan. Ms. Burks,
Yes.
Mr. Duray,
Yes.
Mr. Howard,
Yes.
Mr. Levinstein,
Yes.
Ms. Politi,
Yes.
Ms. Christine Bello,
No.
Ms. Thomasina Bello.
No.
Motion to amend passes. Mr. Bergarelli.
Yes.
Thank you.
Okay, now could we have a motion on 2.9?
So now you just need a roll call as amended, sir.
Okay, roll call as amended.
Mr. Duray,
Yes.
Mr. Howard,
Yes.
Mr. Levinstein.
Yes.
Ms. Politi,
Yes.
Ms. Christine Bello,
No.
Ms. Thomasina Bello,
No.
Mr. Bergarelli,
Yes.
Ms. Burks.
Yes.
Thank you. Before we go to section 3, I'd like to go into executive session. What's that? Be it resolved that the Board of Education hereby recesses into executive session for the following purpose: employment history of employees or corporations and the matters leading to the employment of particular individuals, collective bargaining under the Taylor Law, and to obtain advice from legal counsel.
So moved.
Second?
Roll call for executive, Mr. Duray,
Yes.
Mr. Howard, Mr. Levinstein,
Yes.
Ms. Politi,
Yes.
Ms. Christine Bello,
Yes.
Ms. Thomasina Bello,
Yes.
Mr. Bergarelli,
Yes.
Ms. Burks.
Yes.
We're back in public session. We have a couple items coming up, and before we do that, I just want to ask or tell you, we have items coming up that have to do with people's careers, and it's important that we maintain respect. Regardless of how you feel about these items, please be respectful when these decisions are read, okay? Thank you.
Thank you. Motion to add items to the agenda, please?
How many?
3 items, for Mr. McCoy has them.
Get a second?
Second.
Second.
The items that will be added will be read as follows. The first item to be added is, be it resolved that the Board of Education hereby suspends employee 70125 with pay pending the outcome of a contractual due process hearing effective immediately. Number 2 will be read as follows. Be it resolved that the Board of Education hereby directs its clerk to notify the acting superintendent of schools, Dr. Lisa Baughan, of the district decision to terminate her employment contract effective close of business September 29th, 2025. The resolution 3 will be read as follows. Be it resolved that the Board of Education hereby appoints Ms. Onyx Peterson to the position of acting superintendent of schools effective immediately pending further action by the Board of Education.
Roll call to add.
Roll call to add.
Ms. Burks,
Yes.
Mr. Duray,
Yes.
Mr. Howard,
Yes.
Mr. Levinstein,
Yes.
Ms. Politi,
Yes.
Ms. Christine Bello,
No.
Ms. Thomasina Bello,
No.
Mr. Bergarelli.
Yes.
Entertain a motion on 1, 2, 3.
Motion on item number 1.
So moved.
Second.
Any discussion? Call the roll.
Mr. Duray,
Yes.
Mr. Howard, Mr. Levinstein.
Yes.
Ms. Politi,
Yes.
Ms. Christine Bello,
No.
Ms. Thomasina Bello,
No.
Mr. Bergarelli,
Yes.
Ms. Burks.
Yes.
Get a motion and a second on item 2, please.
So moved.
Second.
Any discussion on item 2? Please call the roll.
This item reads as, be it resolved that the board hereby directs the clerk to notify the acting superintendent of schools, Dr. Lisa Baughan, of the district decision to terminate her employment contract effective close of business September 29, 2025. Mr. Howard? Mr. Levinstein,
Yes.
Ms. Politi,
Yes.
Christine Bello,
No.
Ms. Thomasina Bello,
No.
Mr. Bergarelli,
Yes.
Ms. Burks,
Yes.
Mr. Duray.
Yes. Can we get a motion and a second on item 3, please?
So moved.
Could you read item 3 again, please?
Give me a second.
Okay. And a second?
Second.
Item 3 reads as follows. Be it resolved that the Board of Education hereby appoints Ms. Onyx Peterson to the position of acting superintendent of the schools effective immediately, pending further action by the Board of Education. Roll call, Mr. Levinstein,
Yes.
Ms. Politi,
Yes.
Ms. Christine Bello,
No.
Ms. Thomasina Bello,
No.
Mr. Bergarelli,
Yes.
Ms. Burks,
Yes.
Mr. Duray,
Yes.
Mr. Howard.
Yes.
Please be seated. Mr. Howard.
Thank you, Mr. President. At this time, I would like to move to bring the non-agenda portion of the agenda up with the comments, with the non-agenda comments. Non-agenda be moved,
So you want agenda followed by non-agenda?
correct.
Yes, sir. Get a motion and a second?
So moved.
Second.
Call the roll.
Ms. Politi,
Yes.
Ms. Christine Bello,
No.
Ms. Thomasina Bello,
No.
Mr. Bergarelli,
Yes.
Ms. Burks,
Yes.
Mr. Duray,
Yes.
Mr. Howard. Yes. Mr. Levinstein.
Yes.
Okay, we are at item 5, public comment on agenda items. Mr. McCoy will help with who signed up.
First person signed up to speak on agenda items is Ms. Maggie Welling. Next person signed up is Ms. Angela Paul Gato.
Okay, thank you. Good morning. My name is Angela Paul Ghetto, resident of the town of Newburgh, a business owner in the city of Newburgh, and proud parents of Newburgh students. I would like to congratulate the newly elected board member, Ms. Shade Burks. I would like to congratulate and welcome back Mr. John Dury and Mark Levinstein. The community appreciates your time and effort, and we wish you all the best in the coming year to improve our school district. Last night, the board held a special meeting. And what did it find out? That the forensic audit cost around more than $300,000. We're still not really sure how much. And what a surprise. We find no criminal activity, no fraudulent activity, and no malfeasance. So the audit report confirmed what we already knew. At last night's meeting, it was stated that the report is over 360 pages. That anyone who's interested in knowing what is in it should read the first 50 pages. You're asking parents like me to cross-reference generally accepted accounting principles, New York State education law, financial policies, Board of Education governance, audit standards, and all of the relevant financial accounting jargon. I believe the certified public accountant should come to an open meeting and make their presentation to the community. Provide a question and answer session, whether it's submitted ahead of time or during the comment session. This will build trust by transparency. I am confident that for more than $300,000, PKF O'Connor Davis accountants and advisors wouldn't mind coming to our wonderful Board of Education meeting to explain their findings and provide guidance to improve our district. Thank you for the opportunity to speak and make my request. I am looking forward to your response.
Ms. Abril Delgato.
Good evening, everybody. So I've been living in Newburgh since I was about 9, graduated NFA class 98. And I am here in representation of our students, but especially our special needs students in, special ed classes. I've been a nurse for over 16 years, and I was blessed to have a medically complex child who has a rare syndrome that does not have a cure. And I can tell you that I have gone to battle with the district many times. And the Lord has given me the strength and courage to advocate for him so that he can get his needs met, which is something that he is legally entitled to. And this morning, I was distraught to find out that the only person who has never made us feel like Antonio is a second-class citizen, the only person who has always showed humanity is right now perhaps on suspension or no longer with the district. I'm here to let you know that Jason Gerard has consistently demonstrated a genuine commitment to the well-being and success of his students. In my son's case, he strongly advocated for the provision of necessary related services and medical support, including the implementation of nursing care during transportation due to Antonio's medical needs. His actions not only ensured that my child received appropriate support, but also helped the district mitigate potential legal risk by upholding its obligation under special education law. His leadership reflects a deep understanding of both student needs and the district's responsibilities. I hope that Newburgh can get it together because I went to school here and I think I turned out okay. So I hope that we can continue to work together for our students, for our children, because they are the future. And special needs students are amazing, and we need to uphold all of their legal rights. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Ms. Tracy Wallace.
Hello, this time I'm going to read from my phone. I want to talk about agenda item 6.3, resolution for a second reading and adding the 5137 enabled devices and other electronics devices. In the exception section of the policy the district has on this for the second reading, it states the students may use the internet-enabled devices during the school day for the following non-instructional purposes as permitted in the section 2803. When necessary for the management of the students' documented healthcare needs upon the approval by the district medical director. That is not what I read according to this section 2803 of the New York State Education Law. The policy adopted and implemented to authorize students to use internet-enabled devices during the school day on the school grounds. I'm just going to read. If authorized by a teacher, principal, or the school, district, or board cooperative educational services for a specific educational purpose necessary for management of student health care in the event of an emergency for translation services, case by case on review and determination by a school psychologist, school social worker, or school counselor for a student caregiver who is routinely responsible for the well-being of a family member or required by law. The district crossed out translation services. I'd like to know in this policy what educational purposes would that serve the students that use these devices for translation services? What purpose the district crossed that out in adopting this policy? Also, in review, I'm asking the district to review the education law according to 2803 because the district's policy that is on the second reading does not reflect all of the New York State exemptions for students to use their electronic devices. Also, the definition of a school day is bell to bell. And on this particular policy, it says according to section 2803 that it's going to be included for buses. Buses are not included in section 2803, so there's no reason for this to be included in this policy, particularly reflecting the 2803. If it's in a district policy, that's different, but you're implying that it's in the section for education law, and it's absolutely not included. Bell to bell means exactly bell to bell. You know, the kids need, the parents need to be able to contact their student on the bus, and there's no other way for them to contact their student on the bus if this is actually going to be added to the policy. And again, it's not in reflection for the education law and the New York State mandates. I don't know why it's here. I'm asking the district to review. I'm also asking the district to review the exemption part of the IEP. It's, you know, by law, Mr. Shaw, it's not supposed to be in the exemption. It's a prohibited. It's
Tracy,
not an exemption.
Tracy, we have to be respectful of everyone. Thank you.
There's nobody else signed up on agenda items. If anybody else would like to speak on agenda items, please come to the podium.
Non-agenda items.
Okay, we'll move on to non-agenda. First person signed up on non-agenda items is Ms. Dawn Fucha.
Good evening, Dawn Fuchek, Town of Newburgh. We are emerging from a year marked by division, turmoil, and anxiety within our school district and broader community. As this is the final year of the district's strategic plan, I'd like to know which elements of the plan will be prioritized. Will the board take this opportunity to review and assess the progress that's been made so far? What measures are currently in place or being developed to address instructional improvement, the physical, emotional, and facility safety of all students and staff, and the district's fiscal integrity? Given our current graduation rates and ELA and math performance, it is critical that the board, along with the acting superintendent, clearly communicate where we currently stand, where we are headed, how we plan to get there, and how and when progress will be measured to ensure we are moving in the right direction as we begin a new school year. I urge this board and district leadership to demonstrate the kind of leadership that delivers positive outcomes for all students. Our community is in need of healing and unity. I'm asking this governance team to rise to the occasion, to work collaboratively, to lead with purpose, and to be a part of the solution and not part of the problem. Thank you.
Miss Maggie Welling. Miss Angela Paul Gato. Miss Tracy Wallace.
I want to just take this time to congratulate everyone that's been sworn in. Our district is divided in our towns and our city. And it's disheartening when I advocate for different places. And I really do listen to all people everywhere, the towns, the cities. And there's such a big divide. And I'm just hoping that the new board takes into consideration of, let's not take sides, just, really work as a board. And I'm always advocating for policies because policy is where municipalities should be really advocating for and not have bias in them. And I'm hoping that the district can, again, review the policies that are in place and implement these policies where needed and look at the code of conduct. That's another, I learned so much from Ms. Freeman Mack. I know I don't see her today, but I learned so much from that, and I learned by working with our community and those kinds of workshops. I'm hoping that the district does host some more workshops for our district so that we can all understand what we're signing, understand that what we're signing, the code of conduct, what we're signing when, do we understand these district policies? Do we understand, what's going on in our district? When I talk to parents and they're saying they want to see changes and they only understand teacher and principal, they don't understand the board, they don't understand what's going on. We really did learn from yesterday's special meeting, although we couldn't speak at all. I do want to speak on the audit and allowing people to have that understanding. They're not going to understand 350 pages, having a better understanding with our community. And I'm hoping that the board, regardless of where they stand, could just come together for everyone and not just, having maybe driven here by certain topics that you're passionate about, but also listen to all topics of our district, because we really need to, learn from our mistakes, regardless of where we are. I am in support of some parts of, the science of reading. I think that we should look at some of those aspects. I think that we should look at our education. I'm not against everything, regardless of people who may think what side I'm on. I'm on just the side that's fair and just for everyone. And I'm hoping that the district can look at the science of reading in addition to, what is in place, and not choose sides, but choose what's the best policy for everyone. Thank you.
No one else has signed up to speak on non-agenda items. If you would like to speak, please come forward.
Mine's quick. Good evening, Matt Dotto, one of the NFA co-principals. I just want to take you back to the last time I spoke, and I said, imagine being on the academy field and our graduation. I would like to take this time to congratulate 709 graduates of Newburgh Free Academy. On behalf of Ms. Malentino and I, she won't get up here. And that we want to say that it was a beautiful ceremony. Thank you for those of you that came. Hopefully now that we imagine being on the field, that we were there and experiencing something special, and that's why we're all here, that pre-K to 12 experience, so that we can get to that field again and do it the right way. So again, congratulations. Where are some of our students? Stand up. So, and just remember, what is your superpower? Your go back. Go back for life.
If you'd like to address the board on non-agenda items, please come to the podium.
Hi. I hate to follow that, really, so I'm going to keep this quick. I just want to congratulate the newly sworn-in board members, newly sworn-in president, vice president, and our new acting superintendent. Congratulations. Now I'm going to switch to something that is super myopic that I saw in the forensic audit that I just really hope the board will focus on. One of the things that was recommended, it was like buried on page 17 or 18, I think, was about additional transparency about our RFPs. So basically indicating publicly like how many bidders there were on these contracts. And so I think that that's something that would go a long way toward making the public feel like we have information. So again, congratulations, folks, and just my thoughts. Thanks.
If there's anybody else that would like to address the board on non-agenda items, please come to the podium.
I just want to make one comment, and this is to Ms. Acting Superintendent Peterson. And I hope that you will take to the policy committee where we can have non-agenda items read right after agenda item comments instead of having to make an exception each week. I do not understand the reason why someone would vote no to listening to the audience for non-agenda items at 8 o'clock versus 10:30 or 11. So I don't understand that, and so I hope we can change the policy so we don't have to go through this every week. Thank you.
Ms. Bello.
Yes, I'd like to make a comment regarding
some of the comments that I heard regarding the forensic audit and the narrative that was started last night. And first of all, I'd like to thank everybody that is here for caring and truly caring
Please be respectful. Thank you.
about the future of our schools, our students, and our community. And some have questioned the decision to fund the recent forensic audit of the Newburgh District operations. And I understand their concerns. Spending public money always deserves scrutiny. But tonight I want to be very clear. This audit was not a waste. It was a line in the sand. It was a decision to prioritize transparency, accountability, and long overdue oversight. This forensic audit is what oversight looks like. So let's talk about what this audit actually revealed. And to preface my statements, I will say I have only begun to read it because it is lengthy, and I like to take my time doing it. But just a couple of points. 2 outside contractors had access to change employee pay rates. Let that sink in. This kind of access, unchecked and undocumented, opens the door to mismanagement or even fraud. If just one change goes unnoticed, the financial impact could far exceed what we spent on this forensic audit. Secondly, we entered into a $33 million energy performance contract and failed to track if we actually received any savings. The first energy report that was due this February never arrived. That's not just a missed deadline. That's a potential multi-million-dollar breach of accountability that would have quietly persisted had this audit not pulled back the curtain. Third, a $7.8 million deficit in capital projects, lack of clear documentation, no proper storage for critical IT infrastructure. Friends, these are not footnotes. They are flashing warning signs. And now that they've been revealed to us, we can act. So to those who say this report was a waste of money, I offer this. The real waste would have been allowing these issues to continue unchecked. This audit gave us truth. It gave us insight. It gave us the opportunity to fix what's broken before it becomes unfixable. And most importantly, it showed that we value not just results, but integrity and how those results are achieved. We owe our students the best. We owe our taxpayers honesty. And we owe it to ourselves to have the backbone to lead with courage and make the tough decisions even when they are not convenient for you. Thank you.
Okay, before we move to item 6.1, I know Mr. Levenstein just said it, but we are seriously going to take a serious look at agenda, non-agenda, and when the public gets to speak. And the reason for that is, I've said it for many, many years, that this is your school district, all right? And your school district shouldn't be asking you to be waiting till 10:30 at night to address us. So we're going to take a look at that as a board, come up with recommendations, look at the 3 minutes, which I don't agree with. I ended up cutting off a speaker because of the new time frame. So we're going to look at that. We can't fix everything in one night, but please be patient with us and we'll get it right. Thank you. Okay, we have items 6.1 to 6.3 for consideration. Get a motion? Would anybody like to separate any items? Yes, sir.
Thank you, Mr. President. Can we separate out all three?
Yes, sir. Okay, can we get a motion on 6.1 and a second?
Second.
Any discussion on 6.1? Call the roll.
Mr. Howard? Yes. Mr. Levinstein?
Yes.
Ms. Politi?
Yes.
Ms. Christine Bello?
Yes.
Ms. Thomasina Bello?
Yes.
Mr. Bergarelli?
Yes.
Ms. Burks?
Yes.
Mr. DeRay?
Yes. Item 6.2, could we get a motion and a second?
So moved.
Any discussion on this item? Mr. Bergarelli?
I know we had looked at these in policy committee and everything last year, I guess. Would the administration say these are good to go forward, or there were still issues that we had to look at? Because I know last time we still had to look at some things here.
I think that for this section, we need to look over a couple things. So I would really like the policy committee. We also usually do a shared decision-making part of policy that I would like to see happen before board consideration.
So should we table this item then? That's your recommendation?
Yes, it is.
Thank you. Second.
Motion to table. Vote?
Roll call to table. Mr. Levinstein?
Yes.
Ms. Politi?
Yes.
Ms. Christine Bello?
Yes.
Ms. Thomasina Bello?
Yes.
Mr. Bergarelli?
Yes.
Ms. Burks?
Yes.
Mr. DeRay?
Yes.
Mr. Howard?
Okay, item 6.3, we get a motion and a second?
So moved.
Second?
Second.
Any discussion on this item? Yes, sir.
Thank you, Mr. President. In light of some of the comments that were made on the floor by a stakeholder, should we look at this? Would the administration recommend us look at this policy again a little more closely?
I recommend that you look at it a little bit more closely so that we have a clear,
Recommendation to table?
yes.
Thank you.
Is that a motion to table?
Motion to table, please.
Second.
Good roll call.
Tabling 6.3, roll call. Ms. Politi?
Yes.
Ms. Christine Bello?
Yes.
Ms. Thomasina Bello?
Yes.
Mr. Bergarelli?
Yes.
Ms. Burks?
Yes.
Mr. DeRay?
Yes.
Mr. Howard? Mr. Levinstein?
Yes.
All right, moving to item 7, Assistant Superintendent of Human Resources. Oh,
Mr. President, I have items 7.1 to 7.10
excuse
for
me.
consideration.
Excuse me, Ms. Peterson wanted to.
Sorry, I just didn't get to address the community, so I wanted to do that before we moved on. So tonight, I speak to my community, with humility and deep sense of responsibility. First and foremost, my duty as acting superintendent is to protect the interests of this district, and above all, to prioritize our children. Every decision I make is guided by one simple question: does it serve student growth, safety, and achievement? Recent decisions, though made with the best intentions to address long-standing challenges, have unintentionally created new ones. And while they are rooted in a desire for progress, it is clear that some actions have consequences that we now must address as a community. I do not stand here to defend these decisions, but I acknowledge them openly and reflect on how we move forward together. This is a critical moment for our community. It is time to unite, heal, and collaborate on meaningful solutions that can repair the divisions we face. We all share this responsibility. It is not through this collective action that we can build a future that is stronger and more united. I have spent time in reflection, deeply listening, and considering our current situation. In moments of stress and frustration, we sometimes reveal the worst part of ourselves. But I believe in the possibility of a better path forward, one rooted in collaboration, not division. Back in January, I stood in front of this community and I talked about trauma and bitterness, and how bitterness had taken root in our district. And at that time, I sought to bring clarity over some complex issues that had been simmering for far too long. Since then, I have grappled with the operational, financial, and instructional challenges that have contributed to this conflict. And as a community, we aired these struggles out publicly, inviting others to witness our division. The pain we feel is real. It has led many in our community to demand more transparency, more accountability, and more unity. We must face the brokenness that has been exposed. We cannot let blame and shame define us. Some have spoken harshly with the hope of provoking change, but those words, though meant to spur action, have sometimes caused hurt. Too often, we come from a single perspective without acknowledging that others may see things differently. We want to be understanding, but to be firm in our commitment to collaboration. This does not mean disregarding what each of us holds true. It means listening to each other's truths with respect and not resistant. It means putting our shared goals above individual pride. This moment is not about taking sides. If that approach had worked, we wouldn't be where we are today. It's about valid truths, data, and lived experiences on both sides of this conversation, each holding pieces of the solution. By acknowledging and respecting these different perspectives, we can begin the work of healing and rebuilding. Let me be clear. My role is not to validate one voice while silencing another. My role is to lead with integrity, fairness, and a commitment to what is best for all students. That means being direct about our progress and where we must improve. But this work I cannot do alone. Healing is not passive. It does not come through silence or finger pointing. It comes through action. It comes through dialogue, through the honoring of our governance structures, and through embracing of the voice of this community. It comes from recognizing that we all, parents, teachers, board members, administrators, have a role in lifting this district higher. And most importantly, it comes to listening to our students. They have been watching, they have been waiting, they have been asking, and sometimes quietly, sometimes loudly, for us to do better. And they are begging us to change. So tonight, I am asking a difficult question. I'm asking that we pause, that we reflect, not only on what divides us, but what unites us, our students. I ask that we recommit to the spirit of compromise, because true and lasting change cannot happen without a shared sacrifice. Let us move forward, not with bitterness, but with bravery, not with blame, but the belief that in our district and in one another and in the future that we can build together for the students of Newburgh and Large City School District. Thank you.
I do apologize. 7, Assistant Superintendent of Human Resources.
Mr. President, I have items 7.1 to 7.10 for your consideration on consent.
Would anybody like to separate any of these items out? Mr. Liddy?
7.1 and 7.2, please, Mr. President.
Anyone else? Okay, can we? Okay. Any other items to be separated out? I'd like to separate out 7.7, please. So we have item 7.1 to 7.10 minus 7.1, 7.2, and 7.7. Get a motion on those?
So moved.
Second.
Any discussion on these items? Mr. Levinstein.
So just one question, and I don't think I'll be asking this in later meetings and in additional meetings, but I just want to make sure that central office is okay with all of these items that are put forth here.
So I reviewed the agenda and the recommendations that were made in agreement.
Thank you.
Any other discussion? Roll.
Ms. Christine Bello?
Yes.
Ms. Thomasina Bello?
Yes.
Mr. Bergarelli?
Yes.
Ms. Burks?
Yes.
Mr. Duray?
Yes.
Mr. Howard?
Yes.
Mr. Levinstein?
Yes.
Ms. Politi?
Yes.
Get a motion and a second on 7.1.
So moved?
Got a second?
Yep.
We have a second.
Second.
Okay, discussion on the item? Ms. Politi.
I just want to check in with the Acting Superintendent, that these are your recommendations, or should we table them for further approval?
No, I reviewed the agenda. This is for your consideration this evening.
Okay.
Any other discussion? Call the roll.
Ms. Thomasina Bello?
Yes.
Mr. Bergarelli?
Yes.
Ms. Burks?
Yes.
Mr. DeRay?
Yes.
Mr. Howard?
Yes.
Mr. Levinstein?
Yes.
Ms. Politi?
Yes.
Ms. Christine Bello?
Yes.
Item 7.2, get a motion and a second, please.
So moved.
Second.
Any discussion on 7.2, Ms. Politi?
So the same question applies, and if the same answer applies, I thank you.
Any other discussion? Call the roll.
Mr. Bergarelli?
Yes.
Ms. Burks?
Yes.
Mr. DeRay?
Yes.
Mr. Howard? Mr. Levinstein?
Yes.
Ms. Politi?
Yes.
Ms. Christine Bello?
Yes.
Ms. Thomasina Bello?
Yes.
Thank you. Item 7.7, get a motion and a second.
So moved.
Second.
Any discussion on this item? Yes, sir.
Well, I just have one question on, it seems that the positions that are on here, it also has a list of who they report to on there, right, correct?
Right. I think that this item, if I could speak to you in executive session about it, that may be better for 7.7.
Okay, table. So I'd like to table this item, please.
Second.
Motion to table. Get a vote?
Ms. Burks?
Yes.
Mr. DeRay?
Yes.
Mr. Howard?
Yes.
Mr. Levinstein?
Yes.
Ms. Politi?
Yes.
Ms. Christine Bello?
Yes.
Ms. Thomasina Bello?
Yes.
Mr. Bergarelli?
Yes.
All right, we're at item 8, Assistant Superintendent for Finance.
I'll do that section. So I think it's items
8.1 to 8.6.
8.1 to 8.6 for your consideration this evening.
Would anybody like to separate out any items?
I would like to separate 8.1 and 8.5.
Okay. Do we get a motion on 8.1 to 8.6 minus 8.1 and 8.5?
So moved.
Second.
Any discussion on these items?
Mr. DeRay?
Yes.
Mr. Howard? Mr. Levinstein?
Yes.
Ms. Politi?
Yes.
Ms. Christine Bello?
Yes.
Ms. Thomasina Bello?
Yes.
Mr. Bergarelli?
Yes.
Ms. Burks?
Yes.
Thank you. Could we get a motion on, and a second on 8.1, please?
Motion?
So moved. Second.
Any discussion on 8.1, please?
Yes. I'm a little bit confused here because I had asked the administration for the copy of the contracts because I would like to know, this is an extremely large amount of money, $275,000. I didn't get it, I wanted to see the original contract so I could see what the parameters of the contract were, what it required, how many hours the person was on site. And to be honest with you, from the forensic audit, I absorbed that we really should evaluate this role because it may possibly have a duplication of services, and we may be paying more money than we really need to pay. And it also stated, I mean, at the last meeting, I was told that he also did some virtual, but yet that was inconsistent with the forensic audit report that said there was a very much lack of communication with this person.
So I know that the last meeting, the board did ask, I'll make sure that you get the original contracts. What I can say, usually in the capital project, we do have a capital project manager that has been the day-to-day. We've had some vacancies in that area. Mr. Thurnow is a consultant, and he is paid based on his time within the district, and he bills us. So it's up to that amount. Right now, we have currently, as I mentioned last week, we have the CT project, we have an HVAC project. We are about to go underway with New Windsor Elementary School, and we have a locker room project that are all in process right now. So what's imperative is that we keep the work moving. You will see when I will provide and make sure that you do get those contracts. There may not have been anyone here to retrieve them for you, but I will make sure that I do get them to the board so that they can review them. There's an expansive amount of work that is done. We've had, completion of that. And he is a consultant, so he is someone that comes in and out. And when we did have a capital projects manager, he had less time in district to support her in her transition. And now that we do not have one, he's more in. So we just don't want the work to stop.
Any further discussion on this item? Mr. Howard.
Thank you, Mr. President. So we had this discussion at the last meeting. So would it be possible for us to get a scope of work for what this gentleman does? And the way it was explained to me, he's very, very well thought of in the industry and does incredible work. But I think that it would appease this board, the members of this board, if we had a job description, and also, can we have something where we report out when he does complete work or what he does that's reported back to the board so that we can see what he is doing?
So I know on Manatee Capital Project updates, Mr. Thurnow is here. He works directly with our CMs and our general managers, making sure that we are abiding by state guidelines. He's also a person that really kind of activated our capital project so that we have, a building that we're now seeing. A part of that was part of his work, working with the architects and the CMs, helping with the bidding process, making sure that our plans are at state education, closing out other projects, and also really responding to some of the emergency projects that we've had throughout the district. But I definitely think that the original contract will answer some of those questions in terms of what his duties are and what his scope of work is.
Mr. Levinstein.
Thank you. So I understand Ms. Bello's concern. There's a lot of money we do spend on this. I'm going to guess that it's well spent. I hope that it is. But we also have a resolution on here for construction management services, schoolhouse construction. I don't think that has a dollar amount associated with it, a maximum. And we also have to request bids for HVAC commissioning services. I'm not sure what that is, but that's not my field, so I don't know. But so with all of these things, I would like to see a capital projects or facility committee meetings where board members are involved with these decisions that are made and understand why, and they can relate that to the rest of the board. So we understand as a group what's the reason why these things are, these monies are being spent.
So one of the recommendations is definitely, and we saw that as well in the audit, was to ensure that we have a facilities committee as our recommendation that meets monthly, because we do have a volume of work. The other agenda item that is on the board for consideration this evening is regarding one of the propositions that was passed this summer on the NFA auditorium and the HVAC work. We still have to have someone execute some of that portion of the capital project. So it's important to because there's so much work that we're trying to accomplish, to then hire another set of people to address, because I think it's very important. I know that before in the past, that auditorium was supposed to be redone. We're hoping that we get that done as expeditiously as possible. So the way that we attack that is that we try to hire another group of individuals to oversee that project. So I know that within the other HVAC contract, there's current work that is currently being done within our building, and more is to scope out in the future.
Thank you. One last comment on that. We had a couple of commitments there with no time frame. Is it possible to get what Ms. Bello is looking for before the next regularly scheduled meeting?
Yes.
To the board?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, thank you. Okay, so we need a vote on 8.1.
Roll call. Mr. Howard? Mr. Levinstein?
Yes.
Ms. Politi?
Yes.
Ms. Christine Bello?
No.
Ms. Thomasina Bello,
No.
Mr. Bergarelli,
Yes.
Ms. Burks,
Yes.
Mr. Duray.
Yes. Okay, item 8.5. Get a motion and a second, please?
So moved.
Second?
Thank you. Any discussion on 8.5?
Yes. 8.5, I was concerned because, again, from the forensic audit, it recommends that whenever we approve these bids, we should always list the number of bids, which was listed, who we selected, which was listed, but why we selected this company over the other ones was not listed. So I think I think we should heed the advice in the forensic audit, and I think that's very important.
I don't disagree with you, Mrs. Bell, and I think that our customarily, what we've been doing is that we've been putting that in admin content, and that's something that could be forward-facing in the future. This award of bid is related to work that is currently ongoing, so in future RFP bids, we will be more transparent to the community and to the board regarding the amount of bids and such recommendations that were made by the forensic audit.
Any further discussion on 8.5? Call the roll, please.
Mr. Levinstein,
Yes.
Ms. Politi,
Yes.
Ms. Christine Bello,
Yes.
Ms. Thomasina Bello,
Yes.
Mr. Bergarelli,
Yes.
Ms. Burks,
Yes.
Mr. Duray,
Yes.
Mr. Howard.
Yes.
Thank you. We're moving to item 9, Assistant Superintendent Curriculum Instruction, Elementary.
Thank you, Mr. President. The Division of C&I Elementary presents 9.1 for your consideration on consent.
Thank you. Get a motion and a second on 9.1.
So moved.
Second.
Any discussion on 9.1? Call the roll, please.
Ms. Politi,
Yes.
Ms. Christine Bello,
Yes.
Ms. Thomasina Bello,
Yes.
Ms. McKenzie, Mr. Bergarelli,
Yes.
Ms. Burks,
Yes.
Mr. Duray,
Yes.
Mr. Howard, Mr. Levinstein.
Yes.
Thank you. I have nothing further.
Thank you. Item 10, Assistant Superintendent, C&I Secondary.
Good evening, Mr. President.
Good evening.
The Curriculum and Instruction Division, secondary level, presents agenda item 10.1 for the board's consideration on consent.
Thank you. Could I get a motion and a second on 10.1?
So moved.
Second.
Any discussion on 10.1? Call the roll, please.
Ms. Christine Bello,
Yes.
Ms. Thomasina Bello,
Yes.
Mr. Bergarelli,
Yes.
Ms. Burks,
Yes.
Mr. Duray,
Yes.
Mr. Howard.
Yes.
Mr. Levinstein.
Yes.
Ms. Politi.
Yes.
Thank you. That concludes my items for this evening.
Thank you. Number 11, Assistant Superintendent of Exceptional Learners.
Good evening, Mr. President.
Good evening.
The Office of Exceptional Learners presents item 11.1 for your consideration on consent.
Thank you. Get a motion and a second on 11.1, please.
So moved.
Motion?
Second.
Second.
Thank you. Any discussion on item 11.1? Call the roll, please.
Nothing further. Thank you.
Ms. Thomasina Bello,
Yes.
Mr. Bergarelli,
Yes.
Ms. Burks,
Yes.
Mr. Duray,
Yes.
Mr. Howard, Mr. Levinstein,
Yes.
Ms. Politi,
Yes.
Ms. Christine Bello.
Yes.
Item 12 has already been completed. We're moving to item 13, executive session. Subject to board approval, possibly we'll be taking action after executive session. Be it resolved that the Board of Education hereby recesses into executive session for the following purpose: employment history of employees or corporations, and the matters leading to the employment of particular individuals, collective bargaining under the Taylor Law, and to obtain advice from legal counsel. Get a motion and a second.
So moved.
Second.
Mr. Bergarelli,
Yes.
Ms. Burks,
Yes.
Mr. Duray,
Yes.
Mr. Howard, Mr. Levinstein,
Yes.
Ms. Politi,
Yes.
Ms. Christine Bello,
Yes.
Ms. Thomasina Bello.
Yes.
Obviously, I'm not a good predictor of time, but I think about it.
Mr. President, motion to add items to the agenda, if you would, Mr. What were we at? 6, if you would, Mr. McCoy.
Second.
There'll be 6 resolutions added to the agenda. I will read the resolutions as follows. Resolution 1. Whereas the Board of Education in the Newburgh and Large City School District previously adopted a resolution to abolish certain positions due to budgetary constraints resulting in the layoff of employees in accordance with applicable laws, regulations, and collective bargaining agreements. And whereas the district has reassessed its staffing needs and has determined that it is now appropriate and necessary to reinstate certain previously abolished positions to ensure the continuity of programs and services for students. And whereas such reinstatement aligns with the district's commitment to providing high-quality instruction and support services, and to restoring positions as soon as feasible to support the needs of the school community. Now, therefore, be it resolved that the Board of Education hereby authorizes the reinstatement of the following positions effective July 1st, 2025, and directs the acting superintendent of schools to take all necessary actions to notify and recall affected employees in accordance with applicable laws and collective bargaining agreements. Those positions that are going to be reinstated reads as follows. 2.02 TOSA's School Transformation Instructional Specialist. 1.0 Director of Communications. 1.0 Director of Humanities. 1.0 Director of Literacy. 1.0 Director of Middle Level Education. 1.0 Director of Secondary STEM. 1.0 Director of LOTE. 1.0 Director of Pupil Personnel Services. Be it further resolved that the reinstated employee shall be offered recall to their positions consistent with their rights under law and respective collective bargaining agreements, including applicable seniority and tenure protections. The funding source would be the general fund. Resolution 2 reads as follows. Whereas the Board of Education placed employee number 62425-1 on suspension effective July 25th, 2025. June 25th, 2025. Be it resolved that the Board of Education of the Newburgh and Large City School District has considered the acting superintendent's recommendation that it is appropriate to reinstate employee 62425-1 to active employment. Be it further resolved that the board directs the acting superintendent and the Office of Human Resources to take all necessary steps to implement this reinstatement, withdraw any proceedings as determined previously by the Board of Education. Resolution 3 reads as follows. Whereas the Board of Education has placed employee 62425 on suspension effective July 25th, 2025, June 25th, 2025. Be it resolved that the Board of Education of the Newburgh and Large City School District has considered the acting superintendent's recommendation and has determined that it is appropriate to reinstate employee number 62425 to active employment. Be it further resolved that the board directs the acting superintendent and the Office of Human Resources to take all necessary steps to implement this reinstatement and withdraw any proceedings as determined previously by the Board of Education. Number 4 reads as follows. Whereas the Board of Education rescinds its prior resolution dated June 30th, 2025, terminating the probationary appointment of Roderick Phoenix as South Middle School principal. And be it further resolved that Roderick Phoenix shall remain in his position as probationary principal, subject to the terms and conditions of his existing employment. Resolution 5 reads as follows. Be it resolved that upon the recommendation of the acting superintendent of schools, the Board of Education of the Newburgh and Large City School District hereby appoints the following individuals as a Committee on Special Education Chairperson and a Committee on Special Education Chairperson and a Committee on Preschool Special Education. For the 25-26 school year, that person would be Sasha Silverman. And Resolution 6 will read as follows. Be it resolved that the board president is authorized to execute an addendum agreement with Kimberly Roaring. A copy of the agreement shall be incorporated by reference within the minutes of this meeting.
Thank you. We have to vote on the motion, right?
To add the 6 items, Ms. Burks,
Yes.
Mr. Duray,
Yes.
Mr. Howard, yes. Mr. Levenstein,
Yes.
Ms. Politi,
Yes.
Mr. Bergarelli.
Absolutely, yes.
Those motions have been added, Mr. President.
Thank you. Could we get a motion on items 1 to 6?
So moved.
Second.
Would anybody like to separate out any item?
I would like to separate out 6.
6? Okay. So we, motion on items 1 to 5. Any discussion? Go ahead.
Mr. Duray,
Yes.
Mr. Howard, Mr. Levinstein,
Yes.
Ms. Politi,
Yes.
Mr. Bergarelli,
Yes.
Ms. Burks.
Yes.
Thank you. Item 6, can we get a motion and a second?
So moved.
Second.
Thank you. Discussion on the item. Okay.
Roll call on number 6, Mr. Howard, Mr. Levinstein,
Yes.
Ms. Politi,
Yes.
Mr. Bergarelli,
Yes.
Ms. Burks,
Yes.
Mr. Duray.
Yes.
That item passes.
We're done, right? Would you like to say? Yes.
I know there has been some question in the school community, especially around leadership to certain of our buildings. One of those, 2 buildings in particular, well, 3 buildings in particular, and I think it's imperative as we start to move forward to develop a plan for the opening of the CTE Center that we allow leadership in the building to remain while we go through this process. So Mr. Matteo Dotto will remain at NFA North and Mrs. Valentino will remain at NFA Main. And I know that they're going to be an integral part of developing that opening plan. Also, at Bombville Elementary, Mrs. Kari Bunce will remain the principal at Bombville Elementary. I think it's important for our school communities to know who their leadership is, and we just thank you for their continued support and leadership within their buildings.
Okay, we're at item 14, adjourn the meeting of the board. Can I get a motion and a second?
So moved.
Second? Thank you.
Mr. Levinstein,
Yes.
Ms. Politi,
Yes.
Mr. Bergarelli,
Yes.
Ms. Burks,
Yes.
Mr. Duray,
Yes.
Mr. Howard,